Hey everyone, it's Jeremy Peoples, and I've got some visual aids today. We've got an Ouya pad and an OnLive pad, and why do we have these? Simple. There's some big controller news today. Amazon revealed, well actually Amazon didn't reveal, but the Brazilian equivalent of the FTC had a document up today showing that there is an Android, well, seemingly Android console coming from Amazon with a controller that's very similar to the OnLive pad. It's got bumpers, triggers, D-pad, diamond button shape, 2 sticks, and these little functionality things down here for playback. Now, you might be wondering, well, what's all this stuff going to do here on the bottom? Well, on the OnLive, you could record clips. You're not going to be able to do that on the Amazon console because that does not have clip recording. It just has the fast forward, your play, your pause, and your rewind. That's going to be good because it's clearly going to have an Amazon Instant Video viewer on there, and hey, if you're a Prime member, you get free Instant Video, and so of course you're going to use a lot of those. The basic configuration is a lot like this, and it's also a lot like this, actually, in terms of everything being everywhere. The stick placement buttons and the D-pad are more like this. The Ouya D-pad is very similar to the one in this Amazon controller, or console controller, or wherever you want to combine it, because they have the same kind of stiff-looking arrangement to it. Doesn't look the most comfortable thing in the world. However, the Amazon one looks a little thicker. It also has a little indentation on the center, so it's going to be a little easier to find your finger, right? Find where you should be and move around by touch, as opposed to kind of having to, wildly and blindly throw your thumb everywhere. And by the way, you're going to do that a while on this pad. This D-pad is really slick. It has no grip to it at all. Of course, the sticks have no grip to them. That's because I've worn the rubber off of them by using them too much. The bumper and trigger setup on the Amazon pad is more like the OnLive controller than anything else, and I think it's going to be better for that. I'm actually really looking forward to seeing how well that works out. It also, much like this one, has a little thing, although the arrangement to show you which controller is which is on the part, it's near the buttons. So it's near that. I actually really like this one. It's on the OnLive pad. It's really nice. The pad also has a little guide button, unlike here, where they just kind of, actually for the Xbox One, they took the same thing, it's the same functionality, and they just, indented it in the pad. On the Amazon pad, it's got the buttons like that there, and the guide button is this big silver, not big, it's a raised, I should say, silver thing. Looks almost like the domed globe on the old NWA World title belt. It looks pretty comfortable, actually. It looks cheap. I mean, it looks like a Moga pad, and kind of a good one, but it doesn't look like what you'd expect from Microsoft or Sony or Nintendo. It does kind of have that dull finish, and I actually like the dull finish, because as you can see on the OnLive pad, they went with a mixture of the piano black and the dull. And the piano black part, well, thanks to me not using it, has actually held up pretty well. But the dullness does make it look a little cheaper, but it also is going to have it's not going to reflect light as much. And I'm telling you, being right underneath a light right now, this piano black reflects a lot of light, and it doesn't do that on the matte parts. I'm actually kind of glad they went with a matte finish on it. It's going to look, maybe not premium, it's not going to have a high quality look, but it's going to be functional. And that, for the first time out, I care more about that than how it looks. If someone wants to make an Amazon console controller and it's, well, prettier, great. But right now, for the first Android console, I want it to work. I want the pad to be comfortable, like the Ouya one is. And to Ouya's credit, they did fix some things. The buttons in here, if you push them in hard enough and you use it a lot, they might get stuck in the plates. I've had that happen a couple times. I hate the D-pad. I don't think they've changed the D-pad, but they did change the sticks around to where they're more comfortable. And they did make it so the buttons don't get stuck in there as much. People have complained about the bumpers and the triggers. I like them. I mean, look at the finger setup here. That's pretty comfortable. They're easy to press. And having them fill your whole finger is real, or not your whole finger, but a lot of your finger is really comfortable. You can put your fingers anywhere on this pad and press it pretty easily. So I kind of like this controller a lot. I like the guide button there. Touchpad works pretty well. It's a pretty good pad overall. The whole Amazon controller kind of looks like the back of this one. Actually, this is much shinier than that one looked. But then again, the photos that were put up only look like low-end cell phone camera photos. Now the Steam controller revision that was revealed today looks a little better. That one kind of goes with the 360 style button setup, the diamond, for both the D-pad and the button setup. And they're both down here on the analog, or the trackpad, the touchpad thingies. The wheels are up top here. And you've still got the bumper trigger set up. And what looks like, start, select, and a guide button, as well as some little thing underneath the button side hand grip. So I guess it'll be like the Z trigger or something like that. Looks really cool. The mirror image of it I think is really intriguing because that means it could be optimized for left-handed users. Now, not being one, it doesn't really benefit me, but again, I can see it benefiting other people. And there's never really been a left-handed controller out there, and this is a way to do one and have it be just a little easier for people to control a game. And going with the mirror image design, I think is going to make it a little harder for things like platformers to work on it, but there aren't a whole lot of those relative to games like FPS, where those are a big deal on Steam, and a D-pad for an FPS is really just only going to be used to swap items or what have you. It's going to be a secondary function, an important one, but not something you're going to be using every second. So they can kind of afford to nix that. I can also see them going with a MAME-style general input to where you can map everything. If you want, say, the left stick, what normally would be the left stick to be the right stick, and you want what normally would be the D-pad to be the buttons, and you can just flip-flop them, you can do it. And you can just reverse the order. And they might even just say, input reverse on there to make it even easier for people. Now, the Amazon console is something that we don't even have announced yet. But I think they're going to go with the Amazon Kindle name. It makes sense. They have the Kindle name out there. Everyone knows the Kindle name, and they trust it. It's a very user-friendly brand. And when you get a Kindle device, you're going to be able to use it pretty quickly and not have much fuss or muss. That's a big key, because the Ouya, the big thing with this, the back end is very similar to if you were just using like your phone or your tablet. Same kind of back end in there. The Discover storefront and all that, the Ouya specific stuff is good. When you go into the generic Android stuff, it gets a little muddled, because those weren't made for controller support, those weren't made for a trackpad, they were made for touch, and they work a little funkily with either the touchpad or the basic controller function, and it works. It's just not ideal. Amazon's going to make sure that this thing is easy to use for everyone. And the subject of the game library comes up instantly when you think about it. What are they going to put on there? They have tons of games for tablets, but not all of them are controller optimized. I'm just going by stuff that I have sideloaded on the Ouya, or I've tried in the past, just took it off because I didn't like it all that much. But I would imagine anything you can sideload on the Ouya and run with the Amazon App Store, like Modern Combat 4, like GT Racing 2, that's going to work instantly with the controller out of the box. Now, in the case of Modern Combat 4, it does take some tinkering. In the case of GT Racing 2, it takes none. The game just runs on the controller instantly. But that's kind of my baseline assumption is going to be. You're going to at least have a healthy library of maybe 50 or so games that work immediately without any hassle. Then it becomes a little trickier. Well, do they have, like they do with the Kindle tablets, they have games that only work on the Amazon console, even if they're available to buy on the Amazon App Store, and perhaps they would work on the Ouya if you sideloaded it. Amazon obviously would not make that available to you, that knowledge, but, they couldn't do anything about it. Someone could write a review and say, hey, by the way, it works on the Ouya as well. Anyway, would they do that? Yeah, I think they would. I think it's obvious. They're going to have a more powerful console than the Ouya. That is also obvious. The Mojo is the new kind of top of the line. Actually, I guess the Shield would be the tippy top of the line. But they're going to go for that mid to high as far as hardware and a low to mid price. So I see the console being $150. It's right in the middle of the Mojo and the Ouya. And the Shield is, I think, going to be $200 pretty soon. And then you're going to have kind of it's going to just drive everything down. I think by the summer, the Shield's going to be $200, maybe a little lower. There might be a sale. I can see that easily. And the Mojo is just going to, I think it's going to struggle. I think the only time it's going to do really well is when the Ouya storefront gets added to it. I think you're going to start seeing people at stores kind of push the Mojo a bit more. I haven't even seen it in a store. I'm assuming you can buy it in a physical store and there's going to be a salesperson that says, it does Ouya, it does Mojo, and you're getting the Google Play library, you're getting 700 Ouya games. In theory, the compatibility on that's going to be a little tricky. The Ouya pad has a trackpad. Guess what? The Mojo controller doesn't. It does, however, have a little switch on one of these sides, or one of the bottom areas. you can flip it between like having this act as a having it act as a stick, having it act as a mouse, or having it act as a touch device. So I assume, pure assumption based on nothing, haven't talked to anybody about it, I do believe that it's going to just kind of use the stick set to something and it'll emulate it. Or it's going to be like the Vita TV, and you're going to have about 80 to 90% compatibility, but you're not going to be able to have access to things like maybe Saturday morning RPG is one prime example. I'm trying to think of stuff that uses the trackpad, and there really aren't many games. Most people have optimized things to work with the 360, PS3, and Ouya controllers, and really Saturday morning RPG is the only game I can think of where you scratch the ticket, and you can use that. Will that, that's easy enough functionality to emulate, but if they don't do that, they're going to have, some games just won't work. Now, I'm not sure the exact percentage. I can't even recall the last game other than that used a trackpad. But it's going to be a tricky thing, and I think that people just getting 80 to 90%, that's going to be good. That still gives Ouya a reason for people to buy the console at $100. Yeah, people aren't going to be wanting to spend more money on another Android console, but if there's some really good stuff that's locked out, they're going to want to do it. And you saw the same thing with the Vita TV back when that was first announced. People were bummed. Oh, Assassin's Creed, you can't do that. Uncharted. That's a big one. Okay, Assassin's Creed I think people can kind of take or leave because it's just the one that was made for the Vita when 3 came out. And now it's on the 360, it's on the PS3. You don't really worry about it too much. But like Uncharted, that's still a big thing. It's a good game. Can't play it, on the Vita TV. It'd be a good game to have output on a nice big screen. Can't happen, folks. Now, as to what it's going to look like, I actually think they're going to go with an on-live kind of look for it. It's actually should have gotten that out. Actually, we'll do that right now because I have it right near my location. I think I have the on-live somewhere in this little bin, and I am currently searching through frantically trying to find this damn thing. The one time you want to find the on-live, first time in like, years and years, you can't find this stupid thing. Okay, I found it. Let me just dust it off a little bit. Here you go, on live, the extra dust edition. Good Lord. Now see, this does have the piano black finish, and that thing retains dust like you wouldn't believe. I mean, my God, that thing is dusty. But it is, when it's not covered in dust, fairly good looking. It's clean. It's got a clean, crisp look to it. Feels kind of premium. It's got some heft to it. It actually is heavier than the Ouya. It's got a couple ports, HDMI, Ethernet, micro USB or mini USB or whatever the hell that is. It's also got two basic USB ports and a power button. So this, I think, is what you're going to kind of see the Android Amazon console look like. It's something easy. You can just picture this shape with Amazon Kindle on there and then whatever they make the logo. So see, I'm glad I bought the OnLive because it paid for itself just because I was able to use it as a prop. I haven't really used it much. I only bought it because you got one free with Homefront, and I was like, well, I'll give Homefront a shot. I think it was $50 on sale, and I was like, okay, I'll get it. I'll take a shot, take a stab at it. This was not great. This was not a good purchase on my end, but I can mentally justify it because I'm using it now as a prop. Now, the Amazon console, I think, is going to be the gateway for Amazon or for Android gaming to get into the mainstream. The Ouya is not that. I hoped it would be because at $100, the price point's right. If someone's going to take a chance on it, they're going to take a chance at $100. But I think they kind of scared people away by saying you can make games on the system. You can sideload. It's like most people shopping in a store don't know what sideloading is. It's not a term that is known as downloading, and you have to do some explanation for it. And now, even when I get like review builds or preview builds of Ouya games, they give you this big long thing, this big long diatribe, this description of it, and it adds like 20 steps to a process that's really as simple as I download the APK to my computer, I upload it to my Dropbox, and then I go on my Ouya and download it from Dropbox. It's like, it's that simple. It's not a scary process at all, folks. You just go into File Pwn and you then, open it. And in the case of anything you're being sent via publisher, it's going to work fine. But, you try it for something you get an APK extractor for on your tablet or your phone. You give it a shot. It might work, might not. Anyway, Amazon, I don't see supporting sideloading. I think they're going to keep it at walled garden. They're not going to keep it They're not going to make it to where you can put anything you want on there. I don't think it's going to support the Ouya, although I really hope it does. I think that would make it a better value. Again, the emulation of the trackpad comes into mind if they try to do that. You're going to have the same problem as with, here I'm reaching for it like as a control R, but the same idea where you don't have a trackpad on it, and you've got to emulate the thing on it. So I don't quite think that's going to happen. I think it'll have the same kind of compatibility issues. I hope that they're able to get something going for that, though. I think the Ouya brand, I believe in it. I think it deserves to do well, and I hope that this move to kind of its hardware, its software, and the software side, it's not quite like what WebOS was with HP. When I wrote a piece on Hardcore Gamer for that decision, I likened it that to some degree, but it's not really that exactly. It is a sign that they're recognizing the Ouya 1 hardware-software combination is aging out, which is good. That tells me we're going to get an Ouya 2 announcement very soon. Maybe E3. I can see that being a big thing. Not big thing for E3, like Spike's going to cover it or whatever. But I think it's going to be a thing we're going to see for E3, and it's like, hey, you want last-gen stuff? Well, hey, the Ouya 2, maybe it'll be compatible, maybe it won't be, but you're going to be able to play, if you get a Mojo, you can, do. I honestly think they will make Ouya 1 stuff compatible on Ouya 2. I don't see them nixing that, because they're going to have a lot of people who are like, hey, I spent money on this thing, I backed it, I want to play my original Ouya games on this new device. And I do love that they're receptive. That company has shown a willingness to change with the sticks here. Not the greatest sticks. I've actually worn mine. The rubber is off of my my right stick here, pretty much. Left stick still there, right stick almost getting that slick point. You don't want that. Kind of like when you've worn the nubs off the Dreamcast pad. It's usable. It's not easy to use though. It loses some of the functionality. I think they're going to keep the trackpad on there. I think they should maybe redesign it, because I do find myself hitting it way more. It's kind of like the guide button on the 360 where you find yourself hitting it way more than you want though. You need to fix that. Hopefully they do that for the Ouya 2, if they even announce an Ouya 2. I think they will though. I think this announcement of them being a software, or making the Ouya Discover Store available via software, is a great way for them to engender goodwill with devs, because they're going to be more willing to put their stuff on a system if it's going to not only reach the Ouya fans, but also the Mojo buyers as well. And if it is also compatible on the Amazon console, sky's the limit on that, Make something a featured sale item, you're going to have big time sales, you're going to have exposure, you're going to get on the blogs, you're going to get on the sites, you're going to get press coverage you otherwise wouldn't be getting. And the Ouya has some really strong stuff coming out for it. Not soon, but relatively, within the year. It's going to be the game based on slavery, a topic we have never had covered in gaming. Everyone who's been wanting a more mature game, you're finally going to have that. No game has covered slavery ever that I can recall. And this is going to do it, and it's going to show you a mother's journey to find her son. And it's like, it's a mature story. It isn't just mature, hey, here's nudity, here's violence, here's more bloodshed, here's some cussing. Like Saints Row's idea of mature is very immature. Or, the Call of Duty idea of mature is, oh, let's just have a bunch of cussing in our games. That's a great campaign mode, just tons of swearing. Let's just throw that in there, Okay, it's realistic, but it's not really mature, So, you're going to have that on the Ouya, and for $100 you get to try out anything for free. It's a good value, and yeah, I plug the Ouya a lot. I love this system. I want to see it do well. On the podcast with Hardcore Gamer, it's become a running joke on a podcast, and I love the Ouya, and I always play the thing. But, for $100, you can't go wrong with it. It's only $100. If you only use it to try out a bunch of stuff for free, you're going to spend enough time where it's going to be worth it. Games like Laser Knights are on there now. It's a great game. It's $5. And it's a lot like Joust or Balloon Fight with an overhead perspective, but it's great for party games. And the pads are a little pricey. I think the pads should be $30, because at $50, this D-pad, folks, on a $50 pad. Oh, I don't like the idea. Now, I'm not sure if they changed it for the revision. I do know they changed the sticks. I have not heard anything about this D-pad at all. No one on the Ouya forum has talked about it. So I am assuming that it's the same, and that's not good. But it might be different. But for $100, you get a lot. It's a good deal, folks. And I'm gonna just leave it at that because I'm rambling about the Ouya and it's very easy to do and I love this system. And try out Lazy Nights for free. Try out a lot of the good games on there. Try sideloading some stuff, folks. It's exciting. You don't know what's going to work. When I got GT Racing 2 on there, I was like, oh my god, this looks great. It doesn't play great, but I enjoyed it. And, you know, I honestly had some fun with it. It's like, hey, okay, it cost me nothing, you know, and you never know what's going to work. Most stuff won't work, you know, but stuff that does work works pretty well when you get it kind of optimized, and it's impressive. For only $100, you can get a lot of use out of it. And you can also use it for things that are kind of a legal gray area, like your fan translations. Well, you can get a repro cart, sure. Those are expensive. And then you have to hope your Super Nintendo is going to be able to still run well. My Super Nintendo just stopped working like 3 months ago. I got that Christmas of 92 or 91 or whatever it was, and it just stopped working. I was like, damn it, can't these things last 24 years? You know, my Genesis still works. Model 1 looks pristine. Saturn from 95, Model 1 still looks perfect. Still works fine. PlayStation, I think I'm on like my 5th PlayStation 1. I've got 2 PS2s, and I've got 3 original Xboxes, because the disc drives on these things are terrible. And I'm on my 4th 360, and actually I went with a slimline because my basic original white console, which I prefer the look of, it stopped working well. So I was like, okay, screw it, I'll get a new one. PS3 though, only my first PS3, although I did do a hard drive swap. And folks, get a bigger hard drive on your PS3. You've probably already done that. If you're afraid of it, please don't be. Look up a guide. There's tons of guides on YouTube. It's very simple. Just some basic steps. Back up all of your saves on a thumb drive or in the cloud. I prefer a thumb drive. I want a hard copy of my save data. Spent too much time on these games to just lazily not back it up, you know? It's a thumb drive, folks. They're nothing. For a save, you can go to anywhere. You can go to CVS and get a thumb drive and back it up. Wouldn't do that, though. Get one on Amazon. Save a lot of money. That's my advice. That's my thoughts. If you like this video, give it a comment. You know, send me a message. I'm pretty personable, folks. If you're not a prick to me in a message, I'm nice to you, okay? Have a nice night.